Ladies and gentlemen, may I have your attention, please?
It's the PHDJ Podcast. The PHDJ Podcast. Featuring Mike Walter. And Joe Bunn. Two industry veterans who have seen it all. And are willing to talk about it each and every week.
When we have further information, we'll pass it on to you.
The PHDJ Podcast is brought to you by Electro Voice. And Rollin'. And now, get ready. It's Mike and Joe.
What's up, everybody? Welcome back to a brand new episode, a special episode, if you will, of the PHDJ Podcast, recorded live in Long Branch, New Jersey.
We are live, yes. We are live.
Right.
Well, though it's Monday morning,
well,
so
it's
we're barely
face to face. Normally,
Yeah.
you're watching this video with a split screen. Mike's in New Jersey. I'm in Raleigh. We are all three in Long Branch, New Jersey at the SCE headquarters with
Mike Walter.
And
a special guest this week. Everybody knows him. Needs no introduction.
There he is, ladies and gentlemen. Jason Jani, everybody. SCE Event Group. We're at the headquarters today. I happened to fly in yesterday.
So tell everyone real quick why you flew in, because
Okay.
the backstory on this is awesome.
It is. So, Mr. Jani here, as you well know, if you follow him at all, has a very good connection with the Philadelphia Eagles football organization.
Which is ironic to me because you are not a sports fan or football fan.
No.
There are a million DJs that would kill for that connection. Jani got it, and he's like,
I think that's why they like me, because I'm just like, who is that?
Right.
And I'm Googling it.
And then I see him on TV, I'm like, oh my god, I know that dude. I know that dude.
He's not fanboying out like I was yesterday. But Jani calls me a few weeks ago, and he's like, I've got very few Sundays off. Would you like to come up and see the Panthers play the Eagles on Sunday, October 21st? So I jumped on a plane yesterday morning, 8 a.m., landed at 9:20. Jani picked me up, and we promptly reported to Lincoln Financial Field to watch the Panthers.
And when you say reported to the field, you were on the field yesterday.
Feet on field.
Wow.
Which is a really cool experience.
And Joe, if you can't tell, is on cloud nine because his team,
which is like not even being a football fan. I don't even know how that happened. I've become kind of a football fan. I enjoy the game, but
sure.
To see what happened yesterday.
I was doing a wedding yesterday, and I saw the score at one point, 17-0 Eagles. Yeah. And I was going to text this guy, dude, your boys didn't even show up, but I was too busy. I didn't have a chance. And then I see the score later. I'm like, how did that even happen?
It happened.
3 touchdowns in the fourth quarter.
Yes.
Wow.
So, in all context, we get to this game, and I'm like, Joe, you cannot show out any Carolina. And are you going to go there?
I did. No, I promised I wouldn't.
No. I'm like,
no branding.
I can't.
Not even like Panther underwear underneath everything?
I can't protect you.
Yeah.
I can't help you.
No, if you know anything about Philadelphia sports, you do not.
I had seen
you don't root for the opponent.
I had seen a video that went viral 2 weeks before of some guys dressed up as Eagles in the parking lot, just
beating people up.
Beating up a girl. It was just like, I'm not going to go in there.
I went to a Eagles Cowboy when it was at the Vet before the Link, and with a buddy of mine who was also a Cowboy, and I told him in advance, don't wear any Cowboys colors. Jerk shows up in a Cowboys jersey, hat. He goes to the men's room at one point. He comes back with a blood over his eye. He goes, he's taking a piss, and some guy just shoved him into the wall. And I'm like, Evan, I feel bad for you, but I warned you, dude. I warned you not to wear anything. But that's Philly.
I low-key.
The city of brotherly love.
Yes.
I love that.
I brought Joe Bunn, and he was sitting literally in the line, we're in the lines then. 30 seconds. We literally sit down. First play. Beep, beep. Whatever. Penalty, defense. Before they could even announce what kind of foul it was or what the F happened, this dude 2 rows back is like, ref, you suck. You should die.
Welcome to Philadelphia.
Yeah, he goes, ref, get off your knees. You're blowing the game.
First play of the game. Our topic last week.
Right. I was like, whoa, dude, these people are hostile.
I'm like, I wanted to bring my son here or my wife, and I don't think I can do that. It's not going to happen.
The comeback starts, and I'm got a hood on, and I'm just inside the hood, nudging Jana, it's happening. This is going to happen. It was crazy. So then we left Philly after we hung out for a while, let the traffic die down. We put the top down. For some reason, it was 40 degrees top.
It was cold yesterday.
Yeah, 40 degrees, top down.
But when you got a convertible, you want to show it off.
Yeah, we did it. And cranked up the tunes, cranked up the heat, and drove from Philly to somewhere in New Jersey.
My house, yeah.
Went and saw the Jani family, the SCE headquarters, dropped off a little bit of gear, and then Mike and I connected this morning for breakfast, and here we are at SCE.
And this is early for Jason Jani on a Monday.
On a Monday,
yeah. We got him up. But you've already,
that's how important
you've already made a full day of
this.
Dropped your car off.
We got him in.
That's right. Everybody's here. And so we've got some questions for you, Jani, just because... people who don't know, if you're not following Jason Jani, it's at Jason Jani or at SCE Event Group, correct?
Yeah.
On Instagram, those are great things to follow. He also has his own Jason Jani podcast, iTunes, Spotify, wherever you listen to your podcasts. So to start, Jason, I think without going too far back, a lot of people that follow you have heard your story, but I guess my main question is, and I get asked this a lot, and I'm not a great person to ask because really this is all I've ever done since I was 13. What made you, I know you were in telecom or mobile phones or something in that nature 10-ish years ago?
Yeah.
There it is, the weekly 10.
10. People
gotta get the word
10.
The way he pronounces 10, we have to get that in at least one episode.
10-ish years ago.
Next year will be my 10th year.
Yeah, there you go. Interpretation, that means 10.
I have a good Joe Bunn intimidation.
Oh, here we go.
That's the answer in Bunn.
Maybe I will.
That's the end. That's the Easter egg at the end of the podcast. But what was the tipping point for you to go full time? Quit that job, which I'm assuming had a nice paycheck, benefits. You had a family, 1 or 2 kids at the time. Like, what was the turning point to go? All right, I'm going full time. I'm going to be a mobile DJ company owner.
I was working, so I worked in corporate America. I worked in networking, like telecom engineering.
Sure.
I worked for AT&T.
Okay.
And I had worked there. I was going on my 12th year.
Yeah.
And I was afforded a lot of opportunities. I worked really hard. And I was more or less on like an executive kind of like fast track. Like that's what I really think it was. And I was involved in a couple of really cool, exciting projects. But the past, I guess the last 3 years for me, I started to fall out of love with doing the work. Yeah. And I felt like I was working all week to support my hustle on the weekends, doing what we do. Yeah. And whether it was in the club game or doing private events, it was just something I really, really enjoyed. And I did this one party, and I talk about it all the time. It's the classic, like, hands up photo from SCE.
Yeah, I remember that picture.
And that party probably was the thing that just, like, pushed me over the edge, because the response I was getting from a group of people that had no idea who I was. Sure. Not that people even knew who I was it was just so small. I mean, if I go back 10 years ago, I would do a party and we would give out a stack of business cards. Sure. It wasn't like you're giving out a card. Right. Like, I mean, I would blow out of cards all the time, and people were just like, "I've never seen this. How did you do this?" Because I really try to approach the industry a little bit differently than what I had known it to be, you know, and. I don't know. It was. I got kind of like a phone call on my ride home from that one epic party, and that phone call kind of changed my life.
But it was. I mean, literally. Let's say that party was on a Saturday. Did you walk in Monday with a resignation, or was it another 60 days? Or
so that party happened 10 years ago in October. Okay. And I made the jump officially in May of 2009. Okay. So it was about 6 months.
Like a 6-month plan.
Yeah, I mean, like, it literally planted the seeds for me to say, like, oh, wait, well, now, can I really do this? Yeah. Like, I know people like Mike were successful doing it, and I had worked worked alongside another company, worked with another company, and some of those guys were really successful. A lot of those guys had day jobs and did this on the side, but there's 1 or 2 guys that were, like, in it full on, and I was just like, how could I, like, deconstruct my life to rebuild my life the right way? Yeah. And quite honestly, my wife and I found out we were expecting Justin, my son, and I was like, I can't work. Like, I was working like a superhuman, like, all day, and then all night. It was like I still worked full-time hours at this, just in the evenings. Yeah. And I was doing a radio show. I was doing 12 hours of syndicated radio work a week of fresh content. Right. I mean, I don't even know how I got it all done. Right. And I literally thought, if I can try and do this, I saved a little bit of money.
Yeah.
If I can try and do this, and I could be home for like a year, even if I fail, like the journey will teach me something. I had established a pretty good reputation in the telecom world. I knew that I could probably get placed somewhere.
Right.
And I had a great relationship with the management there. I did it the right way, and I just whatever. And then when I made the jump, it was really, really tough. I mean, it was hard. It was hard to acclimate to that because, you know, I had a 3-year-old daughter and a baby on the way.
And there's not a weekly Friday paycheck. And
it was hard.
Benefits are
I was
paid.
like scraping together. And then I remember the first, like, really, I got through the first year, and the second year I was like, holy cow, like, I don't know if I can do this. Like, it was, the numbers were going up, but like, so were the expenses, so were the, like, everything else. And I remember I was doing, for every, like, it was probably like every 3 or 4 jobs I did, I would take money for myself. Right. So like it got to a point where I was like, I didn't have any more savings. I didn't have any more stuff. And I'm like, how am I going to do this? And then finally it just started to balance out, you know?
The PHDJ Podcast is brought to you by Electro Voice, an American manufacturer of audio equipment, including microphones, amplifiers, and speakers for mobile DJs.
Hey guys, Mike and I've got a new app we want you to check out. It's called Vibo, V-I-B-O. It's one of these type tools that as a wedding DJ, you're really going to want to have in your arsenal. Basically, you give it to your clients and they can do all of their music planning right on the app. And then you can actually take that playlist and import it into Serato to make your prep time even less. Check it out at vibo.io. That's .io. And when you go to the checkout screen, use the code PHDJ in all caps to get a special discount. Check it out.
I was telling Joe recently, when I read with a highlighter, so I can go back and I just want to highlight some of the things that you just answered, because I think there was genius in that. He knew he wanted to do it based on that, but you didn't jump right away. It took you 6 months, and during that 6 months, what Jason just said was he came up with a plan and you save money. And I think that's so important. When I talk to people who say to me, I want to go full time and I want to do this, how much money do you have in savings? And what's your plan? It's great to just say I want to do this, and I think the impulse to want to do it is important, but without a plan, you're jumping off a cliff with no parachute.
Totally.
You know, and the fact that you were smart enough, even with a child and one on the way, to save some money and have a nest egg, because no matter what you do, you're taking a financial step backwards, no matter what.
Well, that, and then like the unexpected, you don't even realize at first, and you're like, boom, here's like a $2,500 bill, and I'm like, oh my, like, what am I going to do? Like, you know, like I got to make this money now, you know, and I remember there was a couple of weeks where I did our payroll, and I literally was paying out the events from my money.
You work in the office all the time, and you do a couple gigs, and you go, there's nothing left for me at the end of the week.
And I'm like, peanut butter and jelly, we're gonna do it again. Like, I don't care. Like, and I was like, I knew if I just like stayed the course, I'd believe it. But to answer your question, like, what was the actual the moment when I was like, it was a Monday morning in like the beginning. Well, actually, it was probably in April, and I remember I had a nice little office, and I had a great job. I mean, it was awesome. 10 weeks of total vacation time a year. 10? Right? Yeah, because I had 10. And then I had 6 paid, and then you could take 4 with like whatever, and then you could do 10 paid sick days. It was 401k match. Jeez. My benefits were like $400 a month in comparison to like what they are now. And I remember I was logging into my computer, and I had a VPN, and I was like asking for a new computer, and they wouldn't give me a new computer. And I'm like, I just saved this company like $100 million this year, and I can't get a $3,000 laptop. I'm like logging in, and it was just like terrible. And I spent like a half hour trying to log in, and then I just like shut my computer because I couldn't get in, and I was like, F this. I'm like, I can't do this anymore. And I went to my car. I'm like, I'm taking a personal day today. I called Andre. I was on level 3 of the parking deck, and I got in my car, and I called her. I go, babe, I can't do this anymore. I'm gonna wake up one day, and I'm gonna regret everything that's happened for the next 10 years. Or I'm going to have a heart attack in this office, and someone's going to find me when they're cleaning out the office at night, and I can't live my life.
And you remember what she said?
She said, "Call your dad." she said, call your dad. And I called my dad, and my dad was like, you know, my dad's very conservative. We come from a very humble background. Like, we didn't have very much growing up. And my dad was like, you have a great job. Like,
right.
what are you going to do when you're 40? What are you doing when you're 50? That's not a real thing. Like, it was just every negative.
I've heard that speech before.
So I called Andrea, and I called her back. I was like, Dad, I'm doing it. And he's like, I think it's going to be a mistake. You're going to regret it. Then my mom got on the phone. She's like, Jason, what are you doing? Like,
oh, man.
And I'm like, and I called Andrea back, and I was like, babe, I have to do it. Like, you have no idea. Like, I have a degree. I was 3 classes shy of my master's degree.
Right.
And I'm like, I can't do this.
Right.
And she was just like, whatever you want, like, I'll support you. And I was just like,
it's a ride or die chick.
I agree that having somebody at home that supports you in that, I think, is so critical, because if not, then those first couple of months where you're struggling and eating the peanut butter and jelly sandwiches, you're going to get, see, I told you, or what, you know, what'd you do this for? So, you know, having a wife or a significant other that is like, let's do this, let's go for it.
We were really fortunate. I was very lucky. I really think back, and you know what the funny thing is, like, a lot of times people are like, yo, how can I start? How can I do this? How can I do this? And it's like, man, if you want anything in this world, as long as you believe you can get there, or at least know that, like, you're willing to do the work to sacrifice to get there, you can have anything you want. But if I go back to, like, that 2008 time period, it was it was a really tough time for me. It was really hard. I mean, there was nights where I couldn't sleep, and nights where I was emotional, and like everyone on the outside saw this like smiling, happy guy who was like crushing parties, and like on the inside, you're like, "What am I doing, man?" Like, what?
Yeah, for me, that moment came about 15 years earlier. That to me, almost the entire decade in the 90s is a blur, because that's when I was working my ass off, growing elite.
Out of stock.
I see, you know, from time to time, like CNN will do like a recap of the 90s, and I watch that and I go, I don't remember any of this, because
other than OJ,
I didn't watch an ounce of TV. Or I remember the OJ stuff, but like you just get so busy, and now you look back and go, how the F did I do it? But at the time, you were following a dream and you were building something that you believed in, so you did it.
It's like I wanted it more than I could like breathe, than I could like drink water. It was like I just wanted to like prove everyone. I tattooed the word believe on my arm, because like even the guys that I DJ'd with were like, you're never gonna get the money where you are. Like the money's only in North Jersey. And I'm like what are you talking about? Like it's not about, like, I'm not chasing the money. Like we're talking different things. I'm like I'm just trying to live and enjoy my life. You know,
doing what I love.
What I wanted to do. I wanted to be home. I thought I would be able to start a business and be home more for my family.
How's that work out?
So here's 10 years later, I don't, like, I'm home for dinner.
So you know what? That's
but he's getting there.
That's a great segue into one of the questions I had for you. Your schedule is packed with weddings and with private events, and yet you still keep your feet in the nightclub field. You spend. I see your schedule. You're constantly. So why that? You don't. I know you don't need it financially, right? I mean, you could support. You're doing great with your wedding business alone. What is it that keeps you going to the clubs?
I feel like the clubs give me the opportunity to keep the sets fresh. Like, I don't, like, a lot of people in my thought, you know, like I heard you guys talk about how many people you think could be like are good beat for beat mixers, and I think you had said 70%, and like I think it's probably like 30 to 40%.
Well, I guess the point there is define good,
right? Well,
like your level good or my level good. I think my level good.
Come along, like, dude, seriously, you've really come a long way.
Okay,
really.
So then Joe's level good. I think
I'm one level below good.
I think there's a lot of DJs that can get by. It's the people that don't even try to get by that blow me away. You know what I mean? If you really want to hone your skills and work and get to that level, good luck. That takes years and years of practice and dedication and everything else, and maybe even an innate talent that not everybody has. And that's one of the things I do respect when you just said you can do anything you want, but let's be honest, that's not true for everybody. You do need some born talents to do certain things. It's just like you can't be the quarterback for the Panthers tomorrow. You're not going to do it. No matter how you could dedicate the rest of your life, you're just not going to do it. And that's not even an age thing.
Gigantic.
Yeah, exactly. You need certain innate. So sometimes we are limited a little bit by whether you want to call it God or genetics or whatever has given you, but despite that, it has a lot to do with effort. But I stand by my 50 to 70% in this industry.
I would probably say 50, like on the top end, and like that's not a bad thing. To me, it boggles my mind that people don't put that as like a priority. Like
Do you remember a couple years ago, I put that question on one of the Facebook posts, how important is beat for beat mixing? And it was 50-50 said it's not important. And they were literally saying my clients don't ask for it or they don't need it. And my point about asking for it is, do your clients ask you if you know how to plug in your speakers? No, because they assume.
I always say you're.
When I hired a carpenter, I didn't say, "Hey, do you know how to use a hammer?"
Yeah. Are you familiar with a 2x4?
You just assume that. I think when people hire DJs, they don't ask about beat for beat mixing because it's an assumed talent that we have. So it blows my mind when anybody in our industry just. So you're going back to the club.
I stay active in the nightlife world because I feel like it keeps me super dialed into current pop culture trends that influence my private event production, whether it's weddings or the what I would consider my marquee events, the Eagles events, that's for wedding, like the large company stuff where it's not, it could be a broad range of people, but it's predominantly on the more pop relevant social. I don't need to look at what's hot on the Billboard Top 50 because I know what's crushing in the clubs and I know where I'm at. I also do it because being I like to do remix projects and I like to do my own edits of things, and there's no better testing space than ripping it in front of 600 people that will walk off the dance floor if it's terrible. It's a pretty cool thing. I mean, I've been active in the nightlife world for almost 20 years, and it's a long span. But you
also, though, Jason, I mean, wouldn't you say that that's a networking opportunity as well? I mean, wouldn't you say that's afforded you other opportunities? Has somebody come up to you in a nightclub setting, obviously maybe earlier than at 3 a.m. and said, you crush that, I want you to do the fashion show for Macy's or
whoever. I mean, really the business that SCE started because I was working in the clubs and this girl kind of came up to me and was like, I have a party that I'm interested in hiring you for, and I'm like, if you're looking for the Macarena, I can't do that for you right now. And not that, because I will drop that in Las Vegas, I'm just saying, Mike knows. But I at that time I didn't want to do that. And my exposure to the mobile world was very interactive, and I just didn't get and the guy that I worked for wasn't the best of people, right? And not in a negative way. He just had a lot of issues that carried into the business, and I didn't want to associate my personal stuff with that brand, So when it all started, it was because of that. But hands down. I mean, next week before I head to Las Vegas to play the wedding MBA party, I'm playing in Atlanta on Saturday, and that was a result of a girl who saw me playing another party for 1,500 people, and literally she just walked up to me. She's like, "You're doing my party." It turns out this girl is super cool. Her parents are incredibly influential in the Atlanta and southern United States in different markets, and I'm doing this party for what will be between 400 and 600 people or 800 people.
And it came from there?
Yeah, it came from just saying.
Yeah, I mean, listen, anytime you perform in front of people, it's a networking opportunity. It's an opportunity for future work, which is one of the reasons, I think we've talked about this on the podcast, when people say, oh, you can make more money doing 40 gigs a year at this price rather than 100 at this price. The math sometimes makes sense, but what you don't factor in there is the fewer events you do, the fewer people who see you. And sometimes that's where you cut off a referral stream when you start doing fewer and fewer events. And that's why I'm all about
we talked about numbers yesterday, but yesterday you had mentioned to me about Flywheel, and they were looking through the database, and my name came up because of the mix shows that I do, and that's for my podcast. I do put spoken content, but I really primarily launched my radio stuff, which is streamed in on different networks and different stuff, but now I put it on the podcast platform because Mixcloud expires after you listen to it so many times.
That's right.
So I had to put it somewhere where people can continually consume the content. So
I was telling him, Flywheel, the instructors can pull from a database of songs. It's already categorized by BPM and stuff. And a friend of mine sent me a screenshot the other day and was like, isn't this your boy? And some of his edits were in there master, and that's a huge corporation. I said, do you know anybody at Flywheel? He was like, I know nobody.
But they just got picked up that
Somebody got picked up. Yeah. Mike, ask the next question because I'm going to throw a softball for the last one. Do you remember the next one? The one I asked you.
Yeah, so what stands out? I mean, and just for people who don't know, Jason and I I don't know whether you want to call it direct competitors or whatever, but my office is literally 5 miles out.
I drive by Mike's house on the way here every day.
So we're close, and we're both successful. We both have successful companies. I think when people come in and book Elite, they have a definite reason and things that they see in our company that they like. When people book SCE, what is it that stands out about your company, you think?
I don't,
It's funny because we talked to Nick Spinelli a couple of weeks ago about the same topic.
I feel that people usually come to me, or I would say for SE, they're looking for a little bit more of a, I don't want to say contemporary, but they're looking for more of like a nightlife influenced event tied in with like top tier production elements, right? And I think people come to me because they're just this.
Was there a timer on that?
Yeah, I think it goes off at like 12.
If you're watching on video, you might have missed a couple seconds there. So
I think people come to me because they're looking for like excellence. They don't want to worry about stuff. I work with some people that are super granular with details, and I work with a lot of people that are like, I'm not going to tell you what to do. Like, I've seen this, or I've heard this, or whatever.
The PHDJ Podcast is brought to you by one of our amazing sponsors, Roland. They want you to check out their V60 HD video switcher. This thing is awesome. You can switch 6 video inputs, plus do 2 still images, plus mix 4 XLR audio from your video inputs. It also features Roland's wireless tally, auto mixing, and Mac and PC control software. Check it out.
So
do you have a preference of those? This is getting off topic, but given those two ends of the spectrum, do you have a preference?
I just like to do cool things for cool people. So even if someone doesn't want a nightlife influence,
no, but I mean, dealing with a micromanager or a hey, Jason, you're the professional, you do everything.
So I would say I can go on either side, and there's plays for each.
So you don't want to answer?
Well, no, seriously.
You're being politically
no, and this is serious.
We'll turn that off for a second.
No, when someone is super granular with details, I find it to be a challenge, and I want to smash the challenge.
Right. Gotcha.
When people trust me to the events are easier for me because I just play the vibe. Yeah. Sometimes you're restricted and you're not able to get through certain things that I think could be a lot easier. But when you're able to take like a very restrictive playlist and like get everyone
and kill it
and rip it, and that's where like the nightlife vibe comes in. And where I was going is like, just when I say nightlife vibe, I don't mean like it's club music or hip hop all day. Like I'll mix. Like when people take a chill out moment during dinner and go sit down and have like I play that, like I'm active during that, and like I use that as the time to really set up that second part of that wedding because I want people to be in there like
already
like in this like and I'm like scratching like I'm not doing it to be like obnoxious, like just making it like this dude
he's came to get down
working this is not he's not just sitting there and like
phoning it in.
Just like I'm not playing Fortnite on my computer, like I use furniture so people can see the work that goes on, because that's the reason why I started even doing those things, is because like I'm like, how can I show people even more,
not hide behind.
A lot of times people are like, yo, what's this playlist you're playing? And I'm like, there's no playlist, bro. Like this is real, know. So like the only way I can kind of get away from that is like literally I remember like radio DJ. I did a wedding and there was a popular radio DJ there, and he was like there with his lady, and like halfway through the wedding he like came up, he's like, bro, come on. He's like, you doing this shit live right now? And I'm like,
really?
I'm like, what are you, crazy? I'm like, yeah, I'm doing this live right now, bro. Like, I was at Facebook Live the other day.
So you thought you had a pre-recorded and you were just
I'm like, not that guy. I'm like, no. Like, I was doing a Facebook Live when I was in like this barn place in New York. The first comment, and I want to do a whole podcast on this, is like, the guy goes, so what? Wait, are you playing this live right now? Like literally, there's a camera angled on me, like
with your hands.
And I'm like, you see me like moving, and I'm like, what? Are you kidding? Like, are you asking me that right now? Like, I'm about to stop this party.
But isn't that the reputation of some, even the high-end DJs that, I don't know whether
some of the people on this wall in
and I don't know whether they do or not, but I know the reputation sometimes is, that Paris Hilton shows up, plugs in a pre-mixed thumb drive, and then fakes it the whole night. So, unfortunately, it's just like in the multi-world, some multi-ops do the bait and switch. Yeah. So we all fall victim. Like, people accuse us all the time, well, are you going to be the one that shows up up at my wedding. I'm like, we've never not done that. But it's a reputation thing that you have to fight.
You know what's funny is we were driving home last night, and Joe was like, I knew you guys were like close over here, and I'm like, I've always respected you. Always. I've always tried to. And I literally said to Joe, I'm like, I don't even know why Mike has always been so nice to me. Like,
he did say that.
I said it to him. I was like, I always have admiration. I always try to support everything you do. Both you guys. I'm like, man. I don't like. I think back to like things that have happened in my life, and like you including me in certain things has been like a huge like.
Jason was a guest at our wedding 5 years ago.
Yeah, it was just,
and actually helped because you brought some gear and had some stuff there. But yeah, Jason, I like you. You're a great guy. I'll work for you someday. I'll fold up Elite. That's why I'm working on my mixing skills. I want to get good enough to be an SCE guy someday. But yeah, dude. And you know what? I also don't look at the competition as a threat. I look at good competition in any market as a challenge. And I think and I've told you this one-on-one, I think you've helped make Elite a stronger company, because there were times where we were like, we've conquered this market, and you get a strong competitor like you in the market, and you got to step up your game, and you've made everybody at Elite stay sharper, and we don't want to lose ground to anybody. So I think if you're in a market and you've got a strong competitor, consider it a blessing, because it's just going to keep you working hard.
And there's so many. There's so much. Especially where we are, there's so much over here. Like even if all of us were 100%, there's still so much more. And that's just like, obviously it's different from market.
That's just our counties, right?
Right.
You go all in New Jersey and into the cities. Yeah, there's a lot of work. You got a softball ending?
Yeah, I got a softball ending here, Jason, just because I know so many DJs follow all three of us. What are you using currently for gear? What do you love right now? Like, DJs, we're all about the gear. We're all kind of gear whores. What are you really in love with?
So, like my Tech Rider now. So I have a Tech Rider for 18, but my Tech Rider for 19 might be a little bit different.
Right.
So, as of right now, my preference when I go to any event would be CDJ 2000s and a Pioneer S9 mixer.
Okay.
It used to be Technique 1200s.
Sure.
But I've had a series of issues over the past year that have been impactful to like my presentation.
Sure.
Which,
like the belt drive wasn't good.
Yeah, or like a signal issue, and if you're in a club or you're somewhere else, like you can test proper, but like as you start the party, like you can get dropouts of like the signal line or whatever. I did a party, which I think you were at in Long Beach, and as soon as I got on, like they were like swapping turntables out, like, and after that I was like, I can't do this anymore. Like there's people like taking photos of me, and I can't even like get on these things. So right now it's the CDJ 2000s.
What just happened?
I don't know what that was.
Oh, that's an Instagram counter. It tracks the followers on Instagram, which is pretty cool.
It is cool. I saw that. They came up on my feed the other day. You just added a follower.
A real-time counter.
Yes.
So you just added an Instagram follower?
Yeah.
Yes. It just happened.
And that number clicked over.
It did happen.
Okay, sorry. That was distracting. I had to ask.
But we've seen sitting around and in some photographs recently some rain gear.
So my secondary follow-up is the Rain 12s, which I think are I've now played 5 events with them.
Okay.
I don't think they'll become industry standards in the club world, but I feel for my private events, that's what you'll see a lot with me. So I can play with like a technique feel, and they are like so on the money, close to what original 1200s are. You can set the torque. You can do a lot with them. They've done such an incredible job with that, and I get behind no products. Like really, like that product spun my mind. I ordered a second set already.
I saw that.
So that'll be like it'll be CDJs or Rain 12s and an S9 mixer. S9 is always like my favorite mixer, and I just like it beyond other mixers currently because of the accuracy, because of the tools that are in front of you. And when I play mobile beat, when I play Wedding Wire, I usually bring my mixer with me. And then the second would be like the industry standard, which is a Pioneer 900 Nexus mixer. For a controller, it would have to be like the SZ2, the Pioneer SC2. I have a smaller, like an SX2. I don't really ever play on the smaller stuff. I like the bigger platters. Like it's just like where my I'm a bigger guy.
Yeah.
Like, it's just easier for me. And that's where I'm at, like, today, you know. For
speaker-wise, I'm sure you want to mention EV.
Yeah, so obviously the Electro Voice brand has been an awesome brand to work with over time.
And your White Evolves.
And the White Evolves is like my little baby project, which is really good. Shout out to EV, what's up?
We'll throw in the EV commercial right here.
Right, exactly.
Sponsors.
If you're looking for a solid, convenient speaker, that is definitely one to kind of consider. I think there's someone that just popped in here.
Yeah.
Let me just see.
So we are at SPE, and Jason obviously just had to do some business. So should we just wrap it?
Yeah, we can.
Want to do?
Oh, we got to
You're out of the shop, by the way.
Oh, now I'm back in.
Yeah. All I heard is hello. I'm like, sorry.
Is it FedEx or something?
Everybody's out today.
It's a Monday morning at SCE.
Hey. Well, I mean, that's pretty much what I wanted to know.
The Electro Voices, they're rock solid all the way around. The Evolves are dope. That's what I was trying to say before. I mean, they're for like smaller,
Define smaller.
Smaller would be
150. For me.
What's crazy is I don't even think the number of people,
size of the room,
relation to the speaker is the right way to do that. I think it's the size of the room.
Dance floor.
I've used those speakers with 300 plus people because that's what the room required.
Right.
So, yeah, I think like on a standard box ballroom, you know, like 150, 160, you can probably do with no problem. You know, it really depends on the acoustics, how tall the ceilings are, what kind of floors there are in there. But those speakers are really nice. They're loaded with features. They have some really, really cool tech in them, and they look really pretty, especially next to a DJ booth, like a Vision DJ.
Like a white booth.
Yeah, and you know.
Well, man,
the phones are ringing. People are
going nuts. Mike's got payroll.
That's money calling.
That's money calling. I got a plane to catch.
That's right.
This guy's got to work. So, guys, thank you so much for tuning in. Jason, thank you so much for being here.
Thank you so much.
Great seeing you.
Really, thank you.
Jason and I are 5 miles apart. We never see each other.
Mike and I hang out in foreign lands.
We had dinner with our wives 5-6 years ago, and we've talked about doing it again. We've never been able to.
We're like, we should do this once a month. And we're like, not going to happen.
I'm the mediator.
We're going to try.
I'm the mediator for this. I'm going to make it happen.
We got to get a guy in from North Carolina just to get us together.
I think we hang out more in Vegas, LA,
California,
like somewhere
Florida,
like
coming out.
Right, we have to leave the state just to hang out.
So
it's sad, but it is what it is.
Well, guys, thanks again for listening, watching PHDJ Podcast. Again, if you want to check us out at the workshop coming up in March in Las Vegas, Jason's going to be there. Obviously, Mike's going to be there. I'm going to be there. PHDJworkshop.com. And again, tune in every Thursday. Brand new episodes. Later.
Peace.
Thank you.
Thanks for listening to the PHDJ Podcast with Joe Bunn and Mike Walter. The PHDJ Podcast is brought to you by Electro Voice and Roland. For more info on their workshop and how you can take your business to the next level, visit phdjworkshop.com and follow them on